My husband is the type of husband who would take our daughter to visit his parents on the weekends, all so I can have some alone time. But there was a hidden motive behind his kindness. I became consumed with anger towards him when I learned the truth. Unforgivable. Surprisingly, the most unexpected couple empathized with my anger and took action to reprimand my husband. My name is Emily. I live with my husband Jack and our daughter Lisa. My husband didn't have a close relationship with his parents and was reluctant to visit them even after we got married. He would always say,
"You shouldn't have to deal with the awkwardness of going to my parents' house. We should enjoy our day off, just the two of us."
It was nice of him to say that, but when our daughter was born, I knew things couldn't remain the same. His parents came to the hospital right after she was born, but we hadn't taken Lisa to see them since then. I started to feel guilty about not letting them see their granddaughter for half a year. Hey, Jack, don't you think your parents would like to see their grandchild? We should take Lisa to see them soon. It's only fair.
Don't worry about it. I don't want to spend my day off listening to my dad's nagging.
Jack's father was quite strict, and it seems that they didn't get along well since he was young. I felt hesitant to go visit his parents alone, especially considering our already distant relationship. Reluctantly, I enclosed a few photos of Lisa and apologized for our absence in a letter. Every time his parents would respond with a kind, "Thank you for the photos, don't worry about not being able to come visit." However, as Lisa grew older and it became difficult for Jack and I to go out as a couple, he suddenly started saying, "I'm going to my parents' house for a visit."
I know you're always busy taking care of Lisa on a daily basis. Why don't you take some time to relax by yourself? I'll take Lisa with me.
Oh, I feel bad about that. I never get to see your parents either. I'll come along.
No, it's fine. I often come home late from work, right? It looks like it'll continue for a while, so I want you to rest when you can.
Convinced by his insistence, I happily sent off my husband and Lisa. Having Lisa there must have improved relations between Jack and his parents. He was in a good mood when they returned home. Ever since, he has continued his routine of working late on weekdays and visiting his parents with Lisa on the weekends. Come to think of it, when was the last time I had some alone time with my husband? There was hardly any time for my husband and me to be alone. One Friday night, I decided to wait for him to come home so we could talk. Welcome home.
Emily, why are you still up?
I want to talk to you about something.
About what? I want to go to sleep. We'll be leaving early tomorrow to go to my parents' house.
That's what I wanted to talk to you about. I'm thinking about joining you guys tomorrow.
What? Why? You don't need to come.
I appreciate the thought, but I've had plenty of alone time already. I'd like to see Lisa interacting with her grandparents every once in a while too, you know? Plus, we haven't had much time for the two of us to talk lately. My husband hesitantly replied,
It's kind of hard to say this, but it seems like my parents feel more comfortable when it's just me and Lisa. They feel a bit conscious when you're around.
I was at a loss for words when I heard him say that.
Take some time for yourself at home.
As I indulged in these words from my husband, I wondered if a rift was unknowingly forming between me and my in-laws.
I'm going to visit my parents with Lisa tomorrow, just the two of us. Anyway, I'm going to take a shower and go to bed.
Jack spoke as he briskly made his way to the bathroom. With him putting it like that, there was nothing I could do. After the two left for his parents' house the next day, I wrote a letter to my in-laws for the first time in a long while. I apologized for not staying in touch and expressed my desire to visit them once in a while. This reminded me of when I used to write letters to them after giving birth. Back then, they used to respond kindly, but now I don't know if I'll receive a reply from them. After sending the letter, I waited for their response, as checking the mailbox became my routine. One day, I found a letter in the mailbox. It was from my in-laws. My heart pounded as I opened the envelope. The content of the letter was something I didn't expect.
We're glad to hear from you after such a long time. How is Lisa? Has she grown a lot? We would be happy if you could send us some photos again.
Judging from the content, it seemed that they hadn't seen Lisa in a long time. Then, where had my husband and Lisa been going every weekend? I thought back to my husband's recent behavior. Come to think of it, there was usually a scent of soap coming from Jack when he came home late. But the day I stayed up waiting for him, he was in a rush to take a shower. Could it be an affair? Suddenly, everything made sense. The late nights, leaving the house early on the weekends. I wanted to confront him immediately, but managed to restrain myself. If he was really having an affair, I needed evidence. That night, as soon as my husband fell asleep, I unlocked his phone. I searched through some past texts and easily found evidence of the affair. Plans for dates on his days off, messages about meeting up, and affectionate conversations were scattered everywhere. And one more thing. I found an email from a daycare center. It seems Jack was dropping Lisa off at a daycare center while he went to see his mistress, lying to me about going to his parents' house and leaving Lisa at a daycare, all to have an affair. My anger reached its peak. No man who abandons his precious daughter to meet his mistress deserves to be a bother. I decided to first gather evidence of the affair. I gritted my teeth, holding back the urge to confront him immediately, and waited for the weekend. After Jack and Lisa left to visit his parents' house, as usual, I secretly followed behind them. Without realizing that I was following, Jack dropped Lisa off at the daycare center, completely accustomed to the process. Meanwhile, Lisa cried, looking distressed to be left at an unfamiliar daycare. Lisa, hang tight just a little longer. I'll be back to pick you up right away. With a sense of unease and reluctance, I trailed behind my husband, unable to shake off the lingering feeling. My husband, all giddy and excited, arrived at the train station and ran up to a woman with a big smile on his face. The woman also spotted him and ran over. She must be Jack's mistress. They didn't seem to care that they were in public as they got all lovey-dovey, walking arm in arm. There was no longer any doubt about Jack's infidelity. Just as I captured an intimate moment between them in a photo, my phone rang. Hello? Oh, mother-in-law. The call was from Jack's mother. Long time no talk. What? Father-in-law? My mother-in-law, on the verge of tears, told me that my father-in-law had been rushed to the hospital after collapsing. I hurried back to the daycare to pick up Lisa, and then headed straight to the hospital. My father-in-law was in the bed, still unconscious. Beside him, my mother-in-law had an anxious expression on her face.
Emily, thank you for coming.
Oh no, I should apologize for not being in touch.
That's not important right now.
My mother-in-law noticed Lisa, and her eyes lit up.
You've grown so much. Look, honey, Lisa's here to see you. Please wake up.
She spoke to her unconscious husband, her eyes welling up with tears. But there was no response from my father-in-law. She wiped her tears and spoke to me.
I tried calling Jack, but couldn't get through. I left him a message, but I guess he hasn't noticed it.
I'll give him a ring. I called Jack. He didn't pick up at first, but after persistent calling, he finally answered.
Emily, what's up?
Where are you? You weren't answering and I was worried.
I'm out fishing with Dad. Bad reception here.
My mother-in-law looked at me in shock at his words. I nodded to her and continued with the conversation. With your father? That's odd, because he's right here in front of me.
What? Where the heck are you?
I'm at the hospital. Your mother called to tell me that your father collapsed and was taken to the hospital.
So that's why my mom kept calling.
You knew she was calling and ignored her, didn't you? Was your rendezvous with your friend that important?
What are you talking about?
Don't play innocent right now. It's too late. I already know that you've been lying about going to your parents' house and instead having secret dates with your mistress.
How? How did you find out?
I wrote a letter to your parents, apologizing for not visiting in so long. Turns out they hadn't seen not only me, but you and Lisa either. I was shocked. If you want to meet your mistress so badly that you leave Lisa alone in daycare, don't even bother coming home.
Hold on, I'll go pick up Lisa right now and head over there.
I already picked her up. I can't believe you left her looking so sad and lonely.
You followed me?
Well, yes, I needed evidence for me to claim alimony after we get a divorce. I've got all the important scenes on camera now, so I can finally have peace of mind.
Divorce? Alimony? Hold on. That's not what I...
That was when I heard a sweet voice coming from the other end of the phone. Jack, are you still on the phone? Hurry up and come over. He hastily reacted to that voice.
Be quiet. If this gets out, we'll be paying alimony.
It sounds like he was speaking to his mistress, but his voice was loud and clear for us to hear. With my mother-in-law as a witness, claiming alimony was now a sure thing. I hung up the phone in disbelief. My mother-in-law gazed at me with astonishment.
The conversation you just had with Jack.
I'm sorry for all the trouble at such a difficult time. Jack has been out of the house every weekend lately, saying that he's going to visit you with Lisa.
They haven't been coming over here at all.
Yes, I noticed he'd been lying when I received the letter from you that led me to discover his affair.
Jack's having an affair? How could he do such a thing when he has such an adorable daughter?
He prioritized his mistress over our daughter. Today, as always, he left a reluctant Lisa in a daycare to go on a date with her.
So, that's why he initially lied about being out fishing with his father.
Having an affair is one thing, but what I couldn't forgive was how he neglected Lisa. I was collecting evidence to get a divorce when I received a call from you.
Is that so? I'm sorry about my son.
No, you don't have to apologize. Besides, it's not right to talk about us while your husband is in this condition. Just then, a raspy voice echoed through the hospital room.
Don't worry about it.
My mother-in-law and I were startled as we looked toward the source of the voice. My father-in-law, who barely opened his eyes, spoke to me.
Emily, feel free to let go of my son whenever.
Father-in-law! I hastily pressed the nurse call button. My mother-in-law rushed out into the hallway to get the doctor. The doctor arrived and after examining my father-in-law said,
No need to worry anymore. We'll keep him here one more day just to be safe. But if there's no change in his condition, he can be discharged tomorrow.
Thank you so much. My mother-in-law and I joyfully held hands. My father-in-law was also watching us with a gentle expression. As the doctor left the room, Jack entered.
Dad, are you okay?
Jack, aren't you supposed to be on a date? My husband tried to calm me down in a response to my remark.
Well, that was a misunderstanding. I just wanted some me time to unwind over the weekend. I might have blurted out something about going to my parents' place, but I haven't done anything to betray you.
He looked straight into my eyes as he spoke. For a moment, I almost believed him. But I had concrete evidence. I won't be fooled by you anymore. I saw you meeting up with a woman at the train station.
She's a colleague from work, and we happened to bump into each other.
But you guys started walking intimately together, didn't you?
We both hadn't eaten lunch yet, so we decided to grab some lunch.
Then what about the voice I heard over the phone? I'm sure I heard. If they find out about us, we'll get hit with alimony. At my words, Jack seemed flustered, but continued to look straight into my eyes as he continued.
I don't remember saying anything like that. Maybe it was a couple's conversation from the table behind us at the restaurant.
It seems like he was going to play dumb until the end. Am I just going to be swindled again? Just as I thought that, my father-in-law shouted at Jack.
Cut the crap. You've always been like this. When you lie, you always look people straight in the eyes.
Hearing his father's anger, Jack immediately shrank back. In a barely audible voice, he retorted against his father.
Dad, it's none of your business. None of my business. Have you forgotten all the times you've deceived people and caused trouble? You haven't grown at all. Don't you have any sense of responsibility as a father? Dad, please calm down. Shut up, you foolish son.
When I showed him the evidence on my phone, Jack finally gave in and admitted to the affair. Having been scolded by his dad must have hit hard. He accepted all my demands without making any excuses. First, we would proceed with the divorce as soon as his father is discharged from the hospital. I would get full custody of our daughter. He would transfer alimony and child support to my bank account every month. Following the suggestion of my father-in-law, I created a written agreement on the spot and had Jack sign it. Afterward, Jack bolted out of the room. He probably went back to his mistress. I, who remained in the room, bowed deeply to my in-laws. I'm really sorry for everything. If only I had gone with Jack and Lisa when they said they were going to visit you guys, none of this would have happened. My father-in-law responded kindly to me.
None of this is on you. The one at fault here is Jack. He betrayed his family. He's always had a tendency to disregard others' feelings and act according to his own selfish desires. I've tried talking to him time and again, but he never listened and only resented me for it.
So that's why he was so reluctant to go back home.
That's probably it. I thought he might grow up a bit after getting married, but I guess I was too optimistic. I've put you through a lot. I'm really sorry.
Oh no, it's me who should apologize. My mother-in-law hesitantly spoke to me. I feel terrible for what our son did, tainting your marriage records. I'm really sorry. It's okay. Being divorced or being a single mom isn't that unusual. We probably shouldn't be the ones saying this, but we'd still like to see you and Lisa, even after you cut ties with our son. We'll do whatever we can for the two of you. So if you ever need help, please don't hesitate to ask. I had no intention of getting back together with Jack, but being a first-time parent was full of uncertainties. My mother-in-law's offer made me so grateful that I was brought to tears. My father-in-law agreed with her.
Yep, I'd like to second that. Let us support you and Lisa in place of our foolish son. Of course, I'll make sure he pays the alimony and child support.
Thank you both so much. I gave them a deep bow. After my father-in-law was discharged from the hospital, I started visiting their home with Lisa every once in a while. I didn't mind going to visit them at all, and Lisa loved spending time with her grandparents. I would have loved to visit even more, but I was worried about running into Jack. Perhaps noticing my concern, my father-in-law updated me on Jack's situation. As expected, Jack headed straight to his mistress's place after leaving the hospital. But she became unreachable a day after he brought up alimony. Apparently, they met on a dating app, and he didn't know her address or even her real name. Perhaps she was only after his money from the beginning, as she was much younger than Jack, and dressed in flashy attire. She must have realized that she couldn't get any more money and decided to abandon him. I couldn't find her either, so getting alimony from her was impossible. But thanks to my father-in-law, who advised me to set up the alimony a bit higher than average, what I received from Jack was sufficient for living. Jack, realizing he couldn't pay the alimony and child support with what was left of his assets, seemingly went to his parents to ask for money. My father-in-law didn't let him set foot inside the house.
I'm cutting ties with a foolish son like you. Don't ever come back. And don't you dare bother Emily.
And with that, he was kicked out. Jack was barely making ends meet and was somehow scraping together alimony and child support. Hearing all this made me feel relieved. Since my in-laws cut ties with him, I didn't have to worry about running into him while visiting them. I must say, marrying Jack was a mistake, but getting to know such kind and wonderful in-laws was a silver lining.
Have you forgotten that you're living rent-free thanks to your husband? Sneers my sister-in-law. I don't need your input. Show me my room now. She just got divorced and moved into our house. My husband inviting her over, what a terrible decision. I'm going to make this self-centered duo pay for this. My name is Sophia. I've been living with my husband since we got married. My husband Sam is an engineer, and since he can work from home, we moved to a small town near my childhood home after we got married. Life in the countryside has its inconveniences, but the people are kind, and the environment is nice and comfortable. Sam, who grew up in a big city, seemed to adapt to country life. The people here are all so nice. It's really heartwarming. I was pleased to hear Sam say that. Sam commutes to the head office in New York City once every month. While there, he also visits his family in the city and updates them on our life. My parents are big landlords in this town. My parents, my brother, and his wife live in our family home. My brother and sister-in-law are helpful country folks. They would often bring food and help us out. Sam and I don't have children yet, but seeing my brother's family makes us want to have our own soon. But it seems like we'll have to wait a little longer for that. Sam and I had a peaceful life, but there were things we disagreed on. One of them was about having children. I'm not quite ready yet. Sam said that, but I wanted to have a baby as soon as possible. We began to feel some distance growing between us. We got married later in life. Sam might be fine with waiting, but me being a woman, time's ticking on my biological clock. Sam, I want to have a baby soon. But Sam would just say, work is busy now. We can wait a bit more. But when is a bit more exactly? I confronted Sam with a slightly strong tone, but his response remained vague. I'll bring it up when I'm ready, so you keep quiet. Perhaps due to stress from work, his attitude towards me has grown cold. Fine, that's all I could say. Consequently, our marital relations dwindled and a year went by. Then one day, Sam suddenly said, my sister's getting divorced. I recalled that his sister had been married for around 2 years and lived in New York. But for him to bring up his sister's divorce so casually, I wondered why. That's why she'll be moving into our house. I couldn't quite understand what Sam was saying at first. Wait, what do you mean? With a baffled look, Sam clarified, my sister's getting divorced, so she's moving into our house. She'll be moving in next week, so be ready. Apparently, things had already been decided without my input. Don't just make decisions on your own. Despite my protest, Sam remained undeterred. What? She's my sister. She's practically your family too. I thought you'd be more accepting. You're much more cold-hearted than I thought. Sam started berating me. What's with that attitude? I'm just saying it's wrong to decide things on your own. I desperately resisted, but Sam gave me a scornful look. At the beginning of our marriage, Sam was not such an arrogant person. I guess living leisurely in this countryside and being adored by everyone, he must have gotten carried away. I had noticed the change subtly, but I couldn't bring myself to confront him directly. But I never expected him to become so self-centered. I can't live with your sister. Please ask her to reconsider this. I firmly stood my ground and headed to my room, but Sam snapped back. Don't you dare say you can't live with my sister. I won't accept that. He grabbed me by the arm and yelled. To be honest, I never liked his sister Emily. Emily was from a city. She was one of those stereotypical women with a condescending attitude. Her husband was a high-ranking executive at a major corporation, so I guess that made her quite arrogant too. Well, Sophia dear, it's been a while. How's life in the plain, rural countryside? We didn't see each other often, but whenever we did, she always looked down on me. And Emily was always boasting about her husband. My husband is an elite at a large corporation. You guys get to enjoy a slow-paced life in the country. How nice. I didn't want to be intimidated by her sarcasm. Yes, thanks to you, we're enjoying our fulfilling days. When I said that, Emily, who always had to one-up others, got riled up. Well, I saw it coming. You can get by with a low income in the countryside. Living in the city like us, it's impossible for you guys, right? Emily snapped. I wanted to snap back at her right then and there, but I suppressed my feelings and calmly responded. Well, I think we earn quite a lot, don't you think? But I agree the level of satisfaction of life in the countryside is far different from living in a city. Emily was momentarily at a loss for words, but she was quick to respond. Is that so? Enjoy your penny-pinching life then. She really has some issues. I've never met anyone like her before. If I had to live with my sister-in-law, I wouldn't be able to take it. I had to prevent this no matter what. But since then, no matter how I tried to persuade Sam, he wouldn't listen. Just 2 days before his sister was due to move in, I got a call from her. I expected her to be rude as usual, but I had to answer. Hello? When I answered in a puzzled tone, Emily seemed annoyed. What's with that gloomy voice? It's rude, especially when I've taken the time to call you. Emily was angry, as I had expected. You've heard from Sam that I'm moving in, haven't you? You better take good care of me. After all, you've been lazing around all this time, so it should be easy for you, right? I'll be disappointed if you don't listen to me. Emily wouldn't stop rattling, and her attitude wasn't right, coming from someone who is about to be dependent on others. Emily, I heard you're getting a divorce and coming to stay here? I said with a hint of sarcasm, but Emily herself seemed unfazed. Huh? So what? People get divorced all the time, don't they? I got bored with my married life, so I thought I might as well experience a bit of country life. You have a problem with that? She responded without missing a beat with her aggressive stance. But I didn't give you permission to come to our house, you know. When I took a firm stance, Emily laughed on the other end of the phone. Huh? Why would you have a say? This is Sam's house, right? You're aware that Sam's the one paying rent, aren't you? I knew it. Emily still believes that our house is under Sam's name. I decided to put her and Sam, who knows nothing, in their places. Then, on the promised day, Emily showed up to our house. Well, here I am. With an entitled stride, she quickly began to unload her luggage as soon as she entered the doorway. Sophia, quit spacing out and show me my room. My sister-in-law is self-centered and incredibly arrogant. I can't believe she managed to hold down a job in our society with an attitude like this. But frustratingly enough, Emily has a greater academic qualification than I do and was working in a major corporation. She seems to have quit her job when she got married, but apparently she still has offers from various companies. She probably thinks she can get back to work anytime. Sorry for the trouble, sis. Sophia, go show her the room already, Sam said. All right, don't rush. I know your bags are heavy, so you can go ahead to the living room. With that, I let Sam and Emily go to the living room first. When I told them I'd prepare some tea, Emily seemed to accept my welcome and followed me into the room. After serving them tea, I brought up our main subject. Emily, I know it's tough after a long trip, but you can't stay here. What are you talking about, Sophia? Emily wasn't taking it seriously. This house is Sam's, isn't it? He's the one paying rent, have you forgotten? When Emily said that, Sam also took a stand. That's right, you don't have any say in this, do you? This is my house, after all. Sam and Emily, brother and sister, seemed so confident with their statement, but I wondered how long that would last. You probably don't know this, but I inherited this house from my parents. Their expressions changed in an instant. However, Emily, my sister-in-law, was quick to retort. Sophia, darling, you don't have to lie just because you don't want to live with me. She apparently believed that I was lying. I'm not lying, I calmly replied. How can I believe that you inherited this house from your parents when I'm the one that's been paying rent? You'd think we would let such lies would fly by? Sam backed up Emily. They both started pressing up on me, but I was unfazed as I saw this coming. Could you two be quiet for a moment? I asked them to hold their tongues. Sam, you haven't been paying rent. What you've been paying me every month is just the cost of living. Sam seemed to be unable to grasp what I was saying. Huh? Why, that's not possible. The fact is, Sam was not paying rent, and I had kept it a secret from him. My parents had gifted us this house and the land it stands on, and the topic of rent never came up. Sam was just mistaken. Sam, it's true that I asked you $1,000 a month, but there's no rent included in that. Sam started to panic. Huh? We live in a remote countryside. Why would it cost so much? Just because we live in the countryside doesn't mean there aren't any expenses, you know. You probably never realized it. We've been able to live off just the amount only because we don't have to pay for rent. I sighed as I said that, and Sam got enraged. That's your fault for not saying so, but there's no reason for you to refuse to live with Emily. Sam stubbornly kept arguing. It's no use. I had no choice but to bring out the documents. Look at this. The owner of this house is me. Do you see it? You pretty much left all the paperwork for moving to me, didn't you? You didn't even bother to check whose name the house was signed under, and you just assumed on your own that the money you gave me each month included rent, didn't you? Upon hearing my assertive tone, Sam was left speechless. But how? The documents clearly listed my name. So it's about time you kick your sister out. However, Emily was quick to fight back. What on earth are you talking about? I don't care if you inherited this house from your parents or whatever. I'm your family too, you know. I've never met a woman as cold-hearted as you. While observing Emily's rattling with a cold gaze, I said, When did I ever consider you my family? Emily, you've always belittled me, calling me a hick or accusing me of being overly dependent on Sam. You never even expressed me a hint of gratitude for letting you stay here. Do you really think I would want someone like you in my house? I took out all my pent-up anger on her. Emily finally seemed to understand her place. Turning back to Sam, I reiterated, Sam, you understand that this house is mine, right? Upon hearing this, Sam trembled with rage. This isn't fair. You should have told us before Emily moved in. Why are you saying all this now? You two were making all sorts of decisions without consulting me, right? So I did just the same. Any problem with that? With this self-centered pair of siblings, I had to hit them hard with the reality. The one who seemed most flustered by this reveal was Emily. Sam, what are we going to do? I'll have nowhere to live at this rate. It appears that since her divorce, Emily had left her previous residence and no longer had a home to return to in New York. Why don't you just go to your parents' place? She doesn't even have to be at my house. That's what I thought, but it seemed they had their own circumstances. My parents are already set to move into a retirement home. It seemed they had sold off their family home completely, which is why she wanted to move into her brother's place, but I'm not letting that happen. That's not my headache, so please leave. If you still want Emily to stay here, Sam, you should leave too. What? He should have seen it coming. After all, this is my house. Even while Sam was hopelessly looking down, Emily continued to yell at him. It's your fault. If I get kicked out, I'll have nowhere to go because you didn't have things in order. I know, so shut up. Sam finally snapped at Emily, and the two started to argue fiercely. They were a truly bothersome pair. Can you two keep it down? You're disturbing the neighbors. When I urged them both to leave, Sam clung on. Sophia, I got it. I'll kick Emily out. Just let me stay here. What? Wait a minute, Sam. What are you talking about? Emily was taken aback. Ignoring Emily, Sam forcefully sent her away. Sam was now begging me on his knees while I looked down at him confidently. You think begging will make me forgive you? I'm really sorry. I am. I had no intention of forgiving Sam. My discontent with Sam wasn't just over Emily. You know, you've never really been here for me, have you? Sam averted his eyes. You're always too busy with work. You never even make time to talk things out with me. I can't keep up this marriage anymore. With that, I handed Sam the signed divorce papers. Wait, just give me a chance to think this over. Sam didn't want to lose this life, but I had no intention of showing him mercy. Just get out already. When I coldly told him off, Sam retorted. You've got to be kidding me. Just because this is your house doesn't mean you can do however you please. I couldn't stand hearing such things from Sam, who tried to let Emily stay without my approval. Please don't talk about me as if you're any better. I left him with that and returned to my room, leaving the divorce papers behind. After that, Sam and I finalized our divorce. According to a mutual acquaintance, Sam and Emily returned to New York, but they seemed to be having a tough time. Well, karma's getting back at them because they've always been self-centered. I can only hope they learn from their hardships. As for me, I'm here enjoying a fulfilling life in my rural home.